Hey, welcome back to Still Learning Life Lessons and the Line. I'm your host, Amber. This is where we talk about being first responders. We talk about health and wellness, life in general, and just some BS to fill in the gaps. I am super excited today. I actually just met this guy literally a week ago. He was an instructor at a class that I was at, and I was like, by the way, want to be on my podcast? And he's like, yep. So here we are. And Ted, why don't you give us a little Reader's Digest version of your career so far? What you've done so far in your life?
Well, I've done amazing things. I'm a very important person, like everybody else in the world. So,
Of course.
yeah, of course. No, I started out teaching a couple of days ago in 1982 in the military, a very long time ago. Yes, I am very old, and I have kind of been attached to this industry for a long time. I started out teaching emergency medicine and stuff as a military medic. I got out, wanted to be a medic. I loved it. Well, I wanted to make a living doing it and could not. It was just the pay was terrible. We had already had two kids at that point, and it was very difficult to do what we were doing. So I got into construction and uh, really love it. I still do it now. I do handyman stuff and I do stuff all the time. I just don't do heavy construction anymore, and I don't do anything because I broke my back. And I ended up taking a job at night as a custodian cleaning the 911 center, and it was interesting. And I said, I was still very drawn to the medical part of my training, which was intense, and I thought I could do something different. And I took a test, and 25 years later, I'm here. I work for City of Waltham. It's outside of Boston, Massachusetts. I was very lucky to work with some amazing professionals. I am retired now. I retired as a day shift supervisor and training coordinator and LEPC member and all of the unpaid titles that we have as a 911 professional.
Yes. Yeah.
As everyone who listens to this podcast knows what I'm talking about. But I was starting to teach for a company out in California called PSTC, and I really got hooked on teaching in this industry. And they closed up, and my partner, my business partner, Justin Prescott, who's moving on himself to probably be the chief of the department where I used to work. We really said, there's so many companies out there, there's so many classes that I've taken that I just really didn't get anything out of. And it
Hmm.
wasn't personal or somebody was terrible or, the big acronym companies, they're great and they've done amazing things for everybody in this industry. They truly have. But I do know that I've taken, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of training that it didn't help me on Monday when I went to work. So you
Right.
take a little
Uh,
bit from every class and you do a little bit from every class and you get something. And I said, Justin, we left a class that was terrible. Um, and we are like, we can do this better. And that's how we started, was basically out of frustration. We said, you know what, let's just teach locally and do a few things. And, our main goal was to teach the civilian population how to deal with 911 and how to have schools deal with us and how to deal with that emergency, that first 2 minutes.
mhm.
And what came from that was our class called the first 3 minutes was really our first class that we built. And it was about really learning how to show people, what they need to know, but learning what they don't know, which was a lot.
Mhm.
They
Right.
don't,
Yeah.
because anybody who talks to the public knows sometimes it's interesting. I guess that's a good word I'll use.
Mhm.
But it's challenging because you know that there's something wrong, you know that there's an emergency, you know that there's something that they need, and us trying to steer them in the right direction and professionally, handle that was
Right.
hard. So we thought, let's teach the public how to do this. and we had a lot of success in the beginning. We taught for, big companies and big property management companies, and in Boston
Uh-huh.
and Massachusetts, and engineering companies and Panera Bread, and we got a lot done. And then we started teaching for 911,
Uh-huh.
and we developed our first big thing, and our probably our most important. That's our flagship class, is our CTO program, which is, again, we've all been through CTO training, but we leave the
Yep.
class and we still don't know how to teach somebody something.
Uh-huh.
And so we reached out to teachers, preschool teachers, college professors. I took a bunch of teaching classes. I went back and got a couple of degrees myself, and just said, you know what? Let's teach people how to teach, how to accept people. Let's drop the labels, like really important foundational things, and then we can all fill out a form, right? We all know how to fill
You
out a
know,
DOR.
and that's actually, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's
You're
actually
fine.
interesting. I didn't realize that you went to like teachers and
Absolutely.
said, basically teach me how to teach, you know?
Exactly.
And I didn't realize that, but that's actually a really good aspect because yes, we get put in that CTO position. We go to a class for like a week to learn how to teach people, but
They don't teach you that.
you can't
Yeah.
cram all of that into
They
1
teach
week
you how
or
to fill out
whatever.
a form, which is important. I mean, all of that
Mhm,
documentation is very important, but
mhm,
describing and creating an environment of learning. So knowing that you want to teach somebody things, you have to teach them a whole new language. You have to teach
mhm.
them about the stress of this, about the challenges of
Oh, yeah.
the high volume, all of those things. And if you don't do it right in the beginning, you crash and burn. I mean, our failure rate was almost 50%. It's a little lower now because I think people are doing a little better job at this, but that's too
Mhm,
much. I mean, and some people should do this. Don't you know? I
mhm.
mean,
Right,
this
yeah, it's not for everybody, yes.
it's not. There's a lot of sharp stuff in here. Nobody should be running around with sharp knives that don't know how to do it. But
Right.
there's a lot of people who didn't make it through training. I think if they applied some of our theory and some of our, it's not theory anymore because it works. There's no um, a Waltham, I know for a fact we do have failures, but it's 1 in 10. It's
Mhm,
not it's very rare that somebody fails training at Waltham because all of those instructors have been through this program. They were part of the development of it, and it's really focused on, "Hey, Amber, welcome here. You're part of this team. I know you're on probation, but
mhm,
you're part of this team from day one. We're gonna do everything to get you to the next step, and we're gonna take this in little steps, and we're gonna learn together, and we're gonna create a team and do this." And I think
mhm.
sometimes we forget that part, you know?
Well, and I think that's a good piece of it too, because I've worked at other agencies where when I started at the agency, you know, it's like, okay, this is a computer. This is your phone. This is how you make a call. This is how you create a call. This is how you page out. This is how whatever. Um, but they're missing that key aspect of what you said was, hey, you know what? You're one of us. You just started, you're only like 2 days on the job, but you're one of us. And this is
This is
we're
it,
gonna
and
help you. We're gonna help
we're
you
gonna do this.
succeed.
Right.
And I think that's missing in a lot of agencies is that whole we're gonna help you succeed aspect of it. Because when you start seeing people who aren't maybe catching on, it's like, oh my, sometimes people get stressed and it's like, chill out. It's
That's
fine.
all. Back up, let's do it again, you know?
Exactly.
Celebrate the mistake.
You're not gonna pick up on this. I mean, I've been doing this for I don't know, 16 plus years. And it's like there's still times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm new. Holy cow. Did I just do
Exactly.
that? You know?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
and then it's like, I send an email to my boss and be like, by the way, I
Heads
effed
up.
up.
Yeah, heads up, it's coming your way on
Yeah.
Monday. You're going to
Yes,
get an email.
exactly.
But
Don't
that's
need
what
to
you
talk
teach
to
them
me. I
that
already know
too.
what I did. So,
Celebrate the
yeah.
mistake, own the mistake, learn, move forward.
Hmm.
That's it.
Exactly.
For me to
Exactly.
pound somebody for making a mistake, or for some of the arrogance of some of our CTOs and some of the true mean people. There's some people who are really mean to people.
Hmm. Oh,
They
yeah.
forget very quickly what it was to be in their first week. You know what I mean? Oh, you know it now. Well, you've been here for 22 years. If you don't know it
Right.
now,
And you
you know,
forgot it's been 22 years. So you have to put yourself back in those shoes where all of
Absolutely.
this was like a foreign language to you, you know? Mhm.
Absolutely. But we
And you know what?
forget sometimes that it's all basics and fundamentals. It's all the
Mhm.
same. Tasks change, but all of
Right.
this whole industry
Mhm.
is the same. We pick up
Well,
a
and that's the
phone.
thing. It's only complex if you make it
Oh,
complex.
absolutely.
Because yeah, like you were you pick up the phone, you talk to the person, you ask the questions, you make the call, you page out the people you need. And granted, is it always that simple? No.
No,
But as
but
long as you know.
the
Right,
theory is that
exactly.
simple.
Yeah. And if you're in a bigger agency, you get a lot of call volume, whatever, you've got maybe 10 of those that you're
That's
doing
going
it
on at the
with.
same time, but it's the
Yeah,
same thing. You know what I
exactly.
mean? I
And
tell
it's
people,
yep.
"What's the difference between an active shooter and a parked car?" Well, violence, obviously, somebody can get hurt, but, I've had fights break out at parked cars. I've had officers throw hands at parked cars. It's
Mhm.
location, officer safety, risk. What's the
Yep.
call? It doesn't change. And
Right.
the trouble is if you don't teach them that in the beginning and then give them the solid foundation of, okay, this is step by step critical thinking. This is how you do it.
Mhm.
Really how you
Mhm.
do it. I want you, this is step one, this is step two, step three, step four. Then they learn it. Then they get reps and then they get better. Now you can really drill them and pound them and say, okay, let's do this. Let's do this over and over and over again. So
Right.
you don't have
And
to handle it.
like we said earlier, just it's if you're not getting this, you go back to the basics and be like, okay, what
That's all
step
you
of
do.
this are you having difficulty with? Then we will
Restart
work
the
on that.
learning. That's
Yeah,
all. Restart the learning.
exactly. So, and that's the thing.
Again,
And
it's so interesting. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Amber.
no,
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I'm not trying to downplay our role as telecommunicators by any means
No way. No
um,
way.
because there are times where I'm like,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the basic elements of it are simple, the same.
They really are, and we
Yeah,
overthink it. But the
exactly.
whole thing of emergency management is that as well. So police officers' jobs are simple at its core,
Hmm.
right? Firemen, it's
Yep.
simple at their core. It's just how do you critically think to your tasks and how you
Hmm.
handle it. So that's why our FTO
Hmm.
program, CTO program goes to everybody because it's a teaching class. It's not a just a 911 CTO class, you
Right.
know?
Well, and that's the thing, because you could have, say, a parked car and you're treating it as a parked car. Then all of a sudden,
It
somebody, the
escalates.
person in the parked car brandishes a weapon or this or that, whatever. And then you're
Exactly.
like, oh, okay, I'm going
Game
this
on.
way. Okay,
Exactly.
now I'm going this way. And
Exactly.
yep, it's all about just knowing what direction you need to go if it flips this way, if it flips this way,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
So, you know,
I
and the DORs you're talking about, the daily observation reports,
Yep.
um, I think of those as like that's an agency thing. You know what I mean? Like that's to protect the agency and saying, "Hey, we showed you this, we did this,"
It's
whatever.
literally and that's what it's been used for, but when we talk about the DOR, we talk about it as the training and teaching document that it is. So when
Right.
you
And
are
that's what it should be. Yeah. But a lot of agencies look it's like to protect their butt, but it's like,
and it does both things, but it's first
but
and
in order to
foremost
protect your butt, you also have to train these people to do this job to sit in this chair.
what a crazy concept that is. You don't wanna do all that shit and get in the way of
I
good
don't care what I sign off on,
yeah,
whatever. It's like I
it's
I need to know what I'm doing to sit in this chair.
when we rebuilt the first time, when we really broke it down, like really step by step, and the generation that we have now is the 11th generation of this program. So this has been it's torn down basically every year and said, okay, what works, what doesn't, what can we make more concise? When I hear people
Mhm.
training 10 months and 12 months, and I'm like, what you doing? What you doing? It should be about 12 weeks.
Mhm.
If you're organized and if you have your stuff squared away, easy tasks in the beginning to hard tasks at the end. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
As you learn how to critically think, you challenge them more. Real simple stuff, but
Mhm.
it's really interesting what we do with the CTO program, and it's
Mhm.
something I'm very proud of because we worked endlessly on it. It's never done. It will never
Uh-huh.
be done. So, but that's a
Uh-huh.
good thing. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing too, because you see at some agencies where it's like, I'm gonna randomly pick you, and you go to the CTO program. It's like, okay, why? I mean, it shouldn't be an eeny, meeny, miny, mo. It should be those who are really 100% dedicated to initially teaching everything, but then gets everybody else on board to support
Absolutely.
and train. And because
Absolutely.
I think we're all trainers in some aspect. We all, throw
I'll do
ideas
it.
out, or yeah, or sometimes if you have a call where it's like, I have never done this before.
Exactly. And you look to your partner and go,
Hmm,
what do you think? You know,
yes. What would you
that's the
do?
good stuff. Exactly. Yeah,
We're
it's
still
interesting.
all training because it's that whole wanting everybody to succeed. So
Exactly.
if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, how would you do this?" And I'll be like, "Well, I could go this way, I could go this way. What's going to be the end result?" But
Right.
we're all trained because we want this to,
Go right.
yeah, exactly, end in a positive manner, kind of a thing. So yeah.
To me, there is absolutely no more important person in any department, in any industry. I don't care what the industry is. I don't care what you're doing, food, medical, insurance. I don't give a crap what it is.
Uh-huh.
The people who onboard the people and the people who implement the initial training are the
Uh-huh.
most important people, because if they are doing it great, your department flourishes because everyone's on the same page. When they do it
Right.
poorly, companies go out of business because of this initial onboarding and training. They can't handle it. I mean, even our instructors, as simple as it is, and we don't have any anymore. I'm by myself now. We've downsized, but it's you're coming on the road with me. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to put you in front of an empty class. I'm going to put you through your paces. These are the points
Uh-huh.
I want you to hit, because these are the points I want you to hit, because this is,
Uh-huh.
our idea and our thing, and we want this to be right. It's
Uh-huh.
never just, okay, yeah, oh, so you've been an instructor for 10 years. Great. Let's talk. Now you have to go through our training program and let's see what you really have, because, you know,
Uh-huh.
I appreciate everybody's experience. Truly do, but it has to be done right. And these onboarding people, these CTOs in emergency management, they're more important than the chiefs and the politicians and all of those things, because all of those neat little ideas that the upper people have, the only way that they get them is through these onboarding people. So that's why, to me, it's so critical.
Exactly.
In our leadership classes, we talk about how you're developing those CTOs, similar to that random throw darts at a board to see who it's going to be. Well, no, your statement is accurate. Who are the people that are going to actually take pride in this,
Uh-huh.
be a real grown up, and do this correctly and be thorough and accurate and honest?
Yep. Right.
All of those things. And it's really hard in this because the legalese people, with there's so many cooks in the soup, so many cooks in the kitchen, that's very difficult to do it. And everybody's worried about losing their job and losing their house and losing their thing, which it just doesn't happen that much in our industry.
Right.
You can kill a whole bunch of people to get
Uh-huh.
sued. You know what I mean? It's not a one time off. I mean, it can be, but in your training, you have to just be very accurate, and you have to be on the same page with management and use leadership so that everybody's on the same thing. But we struggle. That's what we struggle with the most in our industry.
Uh-huh. Well, and that's the thing too is, talking about like the upper management and stuff. And I'm not saying this is like across the board, but you see it in a lot of they're like, okay, you train this person. I'm gonna go off and do my thing. Good luck. And then when things go bad, it's like, but you need that support of
All the time through the whole
you,
process.
exactly. So you're going to want upper management who wants everybody to elevate themselves. You
Absolutely.
want to promote that because, it's
Absolutely.
not just the chief and then everybody else is down here, or the sheriff and everybody else. We're we're all a team, and that's what I love, my current agency that I work at, you know, we don't have ranks. We don't have, you know what I mean? Like we all are a team and it
Everybody's
doesn't
a
matter.
worker, and that's it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who's got seniority, this, that, whatever. I couldn't even tell you the order of everybody's seniority because to me, it doesn't matter there. Um, and that's what I love is that everybody is just part of the same team. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you've been there like
Mm,
5 months or
I
20
agree.
years.
I talk about it in our classes all the time of, does a good idea need a resume?
Hmm.
Does it need
Right.
seniority? Does it need years of
Exactly.
service? You know what I mean? And are
Exactly.
you a
Yep.
leader? Are you a coworker? Are you somebody who is humble enough and honest enough to actually listen to that idea from the person who's been there for 3 weeks? And I think
Hmm.
our industry struggles with that a lot.
Hmm.
Um, I used to have
Hmm.
work with a guy, he said, "Don't talk to me, you don't have seniority, and to get seniority, you don't have, longevity, and to get longevity is 10 years in." And I used to say to him, "So what do I do now between the 1st year and the 10 years?"
Hmm.
You're the senior guy, you know what I mean? He never liked that, but I
Yep.
didn't care because
Yep. Hmm.
"Screw you.
Yeah.
We're all in this playing in the same sandbox. Let's go."
Well, and that's the thing too, because you take an idea from somebody who's only been there for 3 weeks, but you know what? That's something fresh and new, and somebody, that could be
Could be
a fresh and
amazing.
new way of. Exactly.
Exactly, with this
Hmm.
amazing
Yep.
perspective, they're untainted eyes, as I would say. They're not dead
Exactly.
inside yet. They're not all the way dead inside. So
You're
it's
not
like,
all of it. Yes,
it's
you're
like,
not like
"Come
the rest
on,
of us who were
we
just
can do
like,
better than this."
yep,
So that's kinda what we've
exactly.
been doing. We've been working very hard on, shrinking our catalog to really important classes, and that's really it.
So
The
what
classes
classes do you currently like offer?
we right now we're at the beginning new dispatcher class, which is a 1 day or a 40-hour class, which I think is important. And that encapsulates crisis communications, active attack, active assailant. We have a fire basics class. Not everybody does fire, but that's kind of our strongest teaching thing is fire. Our CTO class, our leadership boot camp, and then we really worked hard at developing the class that took, which was It's Okay to Laugh,
Mhm.
um, which is, as we spoke of before, it's billed as a health and stress class, but
Mhm.
it's really just a critical incident stress debriefing for whoever's in the class. So it's an
Yeah.
open forum, it's an open place. We work very hard to include everybody. You've been in my class, so you know what I'm talking about. I really try to talk to every single person in that class,
Well,
whether
and that's the
whether
thing
they
too.
like it or not.
I
Um,
know. I was trying to get by without a name card, and then you busted me. I didn't have I was using my neighbor's name card, um but that's the thing though, is there were certain things that you literally went to every single person in the room
Absolutely.
and had them answer something. So no one could kind of like just, you know, sneak
Plus,
by
if,
and.
if exactly, so if you say this word, which I like, but I don't like it in its inclusion. If we say that, if we're really going to include people, is it based on policy or is it based on what's right to do? So if it's based
Uh-huh.
on policy, I don't think you're ever going to get it right. And we've seen that. I think it doesn't work when people try to mandate something that should be organic. But if you just make a point to be present with, and that was a larger class. I mean, there was 35 or so people in that class. So, it's harder for me to do that. But if you make a commitment to be present with all 35 people, make sure that I say their name in their class in front of their colleagues, give
Uh-huh.
them an opportunity, even if they are shy and they don't want to talk and it's a short interaction, they've by me saying their name in a group and by me saying that this is it, you're now part of.
Uh-huh.
That's inclusion, right? And so
That's
if
the thing. That's them being recognized as existing as a human. That's them,
it's
exactly.
it's the best de-escalator on a 911 line is to use
Uh-huh.
somebody's name because now they feel psychologically they heard their name and
Uh-huh.
it relaxes them enough to listen. And once you get
Uh-huh.
somebody to listen, well, now that's the crazy part of life. If you can get somebody to actually listen, we can have a mutual understanding. We can now learn from each other. We can grow together. Our differences can be defined and fixed. We can
Uh-huh.
do all of those things. We don't do that,
Uh-huh.
and we don't work at that. So that's something.
Right.
If you know, if there's anything that I'm the most proud of about how we teach and what we do and how we are in front of a group of people in a classroom, it is we make the first point is to make people feel welcome. The second point is to make people feel like they have something to say. And then the
Uh-huh.
third point is to leave that class saying, I learned something today and I feel better about something, whatever that
Uh-huh.
something is. And
Uh-huh.
sometimes a class like that is can go in 100 different directions, but that's okay. That's what you want. You want somebody
Uh-huh.
to say this subject, and then we all talk about it, and the whole class gives that person a hug about whatever, which is a CISM. It's a critical incident stress debriefing, which is what you do
Uh-huh.
in that environment as well. And then
Uh-huh.
we keep talking and moving around, and then you sneaky teach health. Like me talking about diet and just don't go on a diet, don't do it, just don't be an ass, and don't
Right.
eat the
Yeah.
whole pizza. You know what I mean? Save me a slice. You know what I mean? There's ways to do this. And,
Uh-huh.
I think sometimes you just need to work together as a group through a real inclusive environment, learn from each other
Uh-huh.
and check the bullshit at the door and
Well, and
laugh.
it's funny you talk about, the critical incident stress management, or the debriefings. And um I'm a former crisis negotiator from a former agency that I worked with.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things they hit on, when you're a negotiator for a SWAT team, you think it's this whole big thing like you see on TV, and it's not, obviously, nothing is.
It's a
But
conversation.
it's conversation, because what they teach you, they hit on active listening skills, active
Done.
listening skills.
First.
Exactly. And I can't tell you how many times active listening skills has been talked about in all of my different, like, continuing ed classes.
Absolutely.
And even like the critical incident stress debriefings, it's active listening skills. It's, you know, calling the person by name. It's,
It's
mirroring,
truth. It's
paraphrasing.
truth.
Let them know you're missing or you're listening to
Exactly.
them.
Exactly.
And
And,
that's
it
all it is having a conversation with somebody. That's it.
and you're the learned professional. You're the one who's supposed to know what to say,
Mhm.
and you're the one who's gonna draw this, first safety information for our guys in the field because that's what our job is field
Mhm.
responder safety first, public's third. They don't wanna know that, but that's what it is. But it's the truth because if we don't take
Mhm.
care of the field responders, they can't take care of
Right.
you, Mr. and Mrs. Public. We can't do it if they're already not, dinged up. We can't do that. So if
Exactly.
we do
Exactly.
all of those things right, you know, hopefully everybody goes home.
Mhm.
And you honestly, stress wise, even if it's a stressful call, and don't get me wrong, kids and old people, those ones still, those kind of, they still talk to me every once in a while, especially a couple of really powerful child calls. Uh, you know, you handle them better because you're doing it more honestly, you're doing it much more professionally. And even,
Mhm.
you see that ER nurse has been doing it for 35 years and she doesn't blink. Like, she just leans into it, whatever it is. She leaves
Yep.
the day and she's happy. That's because she's built up all of this professionalism and skill and
Mhm.
confidence and resilience, and she just walks right through it. And that's what we have to teach each other. That's the thing that we
Mhm.
have. Resilience doesn't come from a book or a pill or therapy. It doesn't come from any of that crap. It comes from your
Right.
learned skill and your professionalism at tasks. And once you're good at
Mhm.
that, resilience levels come up. And if you're not
Right.
good at it, you're hanging on by fingernails. Guess what? Your resilience level is going to be tough, and you might get your ass kicked a lot. You know,
Mhm. Well, and that's the thing too, and that's why, like, peer support is so important
it's
too, is
important.
finding that person, finding those people, you know. Um when I'm going to vent about something at work, what am I going to do? I'm going to vent to people that are there because they get it, they
And
know
the
it, they
ones who give a
understand
shit.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
that's why peer support is so super important in that
It's
aspect as well.
gargantuan. Think about it.
Mhm.
So I have this saying, and I probably said it in that class. Some people listen with agenda. So they listen with, what am I going to say back? This is me. Look at me. Look at me. This is what it is.
Mhm.
So communication doesn't
Mhm.
exist in that environment. That's not listening.
Nope.
Some
Exactly.
people
That's a
listen.
one-sided conversation.
Yeah, it's a one-sided conversation because you're literally just waiting for your turn to talk.
Yep.
You haven't heard anything. So I call it
Mhm.
listening with agenda. And the next one is
Mhm.
listening because I have to, because I'm a supervisor, I'm this, or I'm a lead, I'm whatever, and I'm supposed to, but I'm still not listening. And
Mhm.
then there's somebody, listening with honesty. Well, listening with honesty means you're making an attentive, conscious decision to say what your words are coming out of your mouth. I'm going to hear every single one of them and understand them. And if I don't, I'm going to ask you, hey, explain that to me because I don't understand that. And then when
Mhm.
those both people leave that conversation, it's a 10 times better conversation. It's
Oh, yeah.
we've all had them where we leave, you meet somebody at a bar or you're sitting, I'm on the road a lot, so I like to sit at the bar and just have dinner. That's where I like to have my dinner. I don't drink, which a lot, which is a good thing, but I like to meet all of those people, and I just have these amazing conversations, and some are truly incredible. Some aren't.
Uh-huh.
We all know those people. Some are
Yeah.
not. And that's
Yeah.
when the headphones go on, it'll put, AirPods go in, and I go, "Oh, yeah, I have a major phone call, and I'm playing Wordle on my phone," right?
Mhm.
I just gotta get out of there, but it's amazing, and you know the difference, and listening with honesty is, if the world did that today, this would be a different world. You know what I mean? It'd
Right,
be
and you hit the nail on the head, though, when you said, "I have conversation with people. I have conversation with everybody."
everybody.
That's all it conversation is all it is. That's
It's
it,
it's
you
an
know, and
opportunity. Think about the opportunities you have, when if you go into conversation looking for wonder and looking for things like to say,
Mhm.
wow, I can't wait to whatever this person does, it's going to be incredible, right? If you have that
Mhm.
every time, as opposed to, oh, she's a Democrat, I can tell, shit, and she turns her brain off, you turn your brain off, and all of a sudden,
Yep.
okay, well, now we hate each other. So, well,
Mhm.
I'm a moderate, so I don't give a shit about either side. If you're not looking to help each other, then I don't have a lot
Mhm.
of time for you.
Right.
But it's like, what would happen if we actually listened to each other? I think it would
Mhm.
be a crazy different world. Be a different
You
country
know,
for sure.
and not to get too much into politics, because that's a
No
whole
way.
other
No
that's a whole
way. No way.
um,
Let's do
but, with
religion, abortion, and politics. Those are the simplest conversations. Let's just knock that shit out of the way and we'll move on down the road.
for me, it's kind of one of those things where when people talk about politics or current events or things like that, they're always everything is referencing Republican or Democrat. And I'm like,
An
I'm an
agenda.
issues person. I'm about the issues. I don't
Yeah.
identify
What's
with
this
either one
affecting?
because, yeah, I don't really care. But we talk about this issue. This is my opinion on this. We talk about this issue. You know what I mean? But when you're putting people in those, you're like pigeonholing them. And it's like, but they could, I don't know. I'm an issues person. That's when I
I
talk about politics. That's my thing.
I always say, what's the effect and what's the cause and effect? So, what are you doing, government so and so? What's the effect on the person on the bottom of the pole? So, when I'm
Yeah.
teaching my leadership class, so you're writing this policy, you're writing this thing that has to happen. I mean, whatever it is has to happen. And we don't look at the bottom of the pole and the impact of the I call it the foot soldier, obviously I'm army. So the person who's actually marching in your policy,
Mm-hmm.
how are they living in that policy? And then are
Mm-hmm.
you even looking at that? And I understand the legalese and all that stuff and politics and all that BS. But if we didn't do that, if we just said, okay, let's look at the bottom of the pole, government,
Mm-hmm.
you think about it, there's less than 18% of this country that could go a month without getting paid. So that's less than
Yeah.
18, with 350 million people.
Mm-hmm.
18% of those people could go a month. And if we say 2 months, it goes down to 3%. So a month without getting
Mm-hmm.
paid. That's a scary thing.
That is a
So that
very
means
scary thing.
it is.
Mhm.
So if we say we're going to you know, try to fix the world, well, then the top of the pole has to meet the bottom of the pole. We have to have a
Mhm.
conversation at a table with the coffee and a couple of bagels. And I always say, get me 50 farmers. You're now in charge of the country. Throw in a priest, a rabbi, a Baptist
Uh-huh.
minister, throw in a couple of those guys because I love that stuff. And
Mhm.
go figure it out. And this country would be fixed instantly because there's no bullshit in those people.
Oh,
This
right.
is
Exactly.
cause effect. Fix it. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
but we don't have that.
And and that's the thing too is, um, kinda off topic a little bit, but, quite a few years ago, I was on school board for, um, our local school district,
A lot of work.
and yeah, um, I won't even get into that, but
I know
anyways,
exactly what you're talking about.
but
You can use F words, it doesn't offend me. I don't know about your, listenership, but it doesn't offend me.
oh, no, that's fine, I'm just trying to, like I still live in the school district, so I wanna make sure I don't
Right.
say that
Exactly.
out.
Don't burn a bridge.
Um, exactly, but it's one of those things where when I was on the school board or when I was rerunning, running for reelection, things like that, I didn't have an agenda, and like you interview the other candidates and they're like, I'd like to do this and this and this and
Right.
this. I don't have an agenda. You come to me with what you feel is an issue. We will discuss it. We will talk
We'll figure it out.
pros, cons, this, whatever. And yeah, and
Figure
then
it
we'll
out.
come up with something. But
We'll
I'm
figure it out.
not one that's going to say, yep, I'm going to go on the school board and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do whatever is best for every single kid in that school district to make sure they are getting the education they need, the support they need, and they eventually, years down the road, become good community members. That's what I want to do.
What a
And
crazy
so
concept.
I know, right? I mean, and it's like, raising my three daughters, they're all teenagers now. And it's like,
God help you.
I just want them to be decent
Good people.
human
Good
beings,
people.
productive members
Hardworking
of
people.
society.
Exactly.
And
I agree with
that's,
you 100%. So in our teaching and what we do, the reason I talk to preschool teachers and the reason I talk to professors and the reason I talk to engineering people and the reason I talk to nurses and doctors and, talk to a 10-year-old person and say, when somebody's teaching you this way, what do you think? You know what I mean? Because I wanna know what they think, that 10-year-old. I wanna know what that 13-year-old thinks. I wanna know what
Mhm.
I'm 62, so if I'm teaching somebody who's 20 in my class, I wanna make sure I'm building a bridge to that person as well as the person who's been doing this for 30 years. And I think that listening with
Exactly.
being with honesty and with intent, you get to really make a connection with people, and sometimes it's not perfect. I mean, especially like in relationships and friends when you hear every word that somebody's saying, sometimes they're not always the words you wanna
Uh-huh.
hear, and, it can be painful, and we've all gone through that. But to me, I'd rather go through something really challenging and hard and grow from it and create another little book I can put on the shelf and a little more resilience, and the next time I'm challenged,
Mhm.
I have experience, and I'm not afraid to, feel, an impact. I mean, I've had people tell me gut-wrenching stories in my classes where, there's a tear in my eye, like I'm choked up, I'm trying to, suck it back because it's so impactful on them, and I just, you wanna scoop them up and just say, "It's gonna be okay." But, a lot of
Mhm.
stuff we do, it's not gonna be okay, you know? Kids don't make it,
Right.
babies die, you
Right.
know what I mean? Old people are abandoned, wives get beaten to death every single day, and it's stuff
Mhm.
we have to be able to have these honest discussions. And I think if you start with these basics and fundamentals, which is what we teach in CTO, it's what we teach in leadership, it's what we teach
Mhm.
in crisis communications, it's what we teach in SISM, it's what we teach in all of these things. It's what I teach in the CBR class. It's the same thing. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's the same
Mhm.
thing. But
Mhm.
sometimes there are people who get it, and there are people who have such an ego that they can't they can't check it at the door and say, "Okay, I have an opportunity to learn from something today, somebody," and taking that advantage of that, or you know, as you see, I mean, you were in my class, you understand how I do things, and it's very light. I try to laugh as much as I possibly can in the
Oh, yeah.
class. I don't care what the subject is. If
Mhm.
I'm talking about suicide prevention or crisis intervention, I'm still trying to make people laugh because I know it's such a
Mhm.
powerful thing. And it's also a way, and not to give up all my secrets here, but to any budding instructors out there, you cannot pound a class for 8 hours. You can't do it. So you have to
No.
give them these little bits, sneaky teach. Like if you come in the front door, sometimes it
Mhm.
doesn't catch, but if you come in the side door, with a little laugh or a little story, it sticks better. and then conversation starts to happen, and then you really learn it, as opposed
Uh-huh.
to, "Hey, this is A, this is how you do it, and this is why you do it, and I don't care about your experience, I don't care who you are, you're number 31 in this class." And we've all been to those classes where the person
Yep.
stands behind the podium and, "Look at me, the first hour and a half of the class is somebody's crazy ass stupid resume," which is like, you know, I don't it doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. You know what I
Yep.
mean? When somebody you get in front of somebody who
Uh-huh.
actually knows what they're talking about and is interested in what you're talking about, huh, what can't you learn in that environment? You know? And that's what you learn from all of those other little people, and I would
Oh,
almost
are
say
you
little
still
people, all the
I
other
think you froze
people
up, Ted.
that I've talked to, you know,
Oh,
I
are you
and
still
I
there?
say it right in my class,
Maybe?
"You just said something incredible. I'm stealing the shit out of that." Because it's like I don't want to,
Ted, you froze
I
up.
don't wanna lose any of that information, you know what I mean? So, you're a little frozen up, Amber, I
Okay,
think.
I think I lost Ted for this podcast. He's froze up right now. But so anyways, American Emergency Preparedness, that is his
Amber
website,
jumped out, she's gonna
American
jump right
Emergency
back on. I
Preparedness.
guarantee it. I
So I
can
want to
see it
thank
happening.
Ted when he's unfrozen. I will thank him for being with us. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. Bye. Maybe.
So while we wait for Amber to come back, I will just keep talking. That way, her listeners, get to hear something other than dead air. But uh things that like this, these podcasts and things, and there's a lot of them across the country. They're amazing. I love when people are doing stuff to create conversation because I think that's the solve for just about everything. So, Amber is, an experienced dispatcher, an experienced emergency management professional. So being able to have these discussions, really helps people know that they're part of something that Amber's gone through it. I've gone through it. Other people have gone through it. Everyone's been new. Everyone's been experienced. So it's such a gambit of emotions sometimes, this industry, and it's nice to hear from other people. And that's why I love these podcasts and I do them as many as I can because A, I want to see people succeed, but B, it gives you an opportunity to just talk about us and talk about shop and why we're should be first responders, why we should be compensated as first responders. It's an interesting thing for sure, for sure. Hopefully her Wi-Fi didn't go down.